Contact us to avail the combo offer of General Studies and Public Administration optional with 20% discount.
Hello friends, welcome to Lukman IAS. Today we are going to have the Hindu analysis of 1st July 2021. Let us see which are the important articles from today's The Hindu newspaper. Yes, most of the articles relates to economy part of syllabus for mains examination as well as prelims examination. Let us take overview of all these articles first and then we will discuss them one by one in detail. First, India's 1991 liberalization leap and lessons for today. There is one interview on OPED page number 7 with Montek Singh Ahluwalia. So, yes, he was a very important personality during the framing of LPG reforms or new economic policy 1991. So, it is 30 years completed after this policy reforms or the economic reforms were undertaken during the PV Narasimha Rao government at that time. So, yes, the significance, what is the outcome and at present what lessons can be learned from these LPG reforms, we will discuss that from economy perspective GS3 paper. Then small doses, again editorial on page number 6. Yes, yesterday itself we talked about the fiscal package, relief package after second wave has been announced by the finance ministry. What are the ingredients of that fiscal package, relief package, and then we will try to analyze whether it is sufficient or not to deal with the present state of economic situation. Fine. Specifically for prelims examination, cabinet clears viability gap funds for BharatNet. Now we have to understand the significance of this particular funding for BharatNet scheme. What is the basics when this BharatNet scheme was announced, the basics about this scheme. So, we have to understand from the government schemes perspective, every year 1 or 2 questions are asked from important, nationally important government schemes from different sectors. Then current account deficit widens as imports revive, one of the, let us say, remarks by RBI. So, yes, what is current account deficit, capital account deficit, balance of payment crisis, POP accounts, all these basics in economy we are going to discuss here from prelims perspective. Lastly, some COVID-19 related developments at national and international level, and finally practice prelims MCQs that we are solving on daily basis from today's current affairs. Let us go into details of these articles. First article on page number 7, interview with Montek Singh Ahluwalia. Okay, so yes, India's 1991 liberalization leap and lessons for today. So LPG reforms of 1991, actually 30 years of these reforms have been completed. So there can be either question in GS3 paper, economy part, mains examination, or we are expecting essay paper also regarding these LPG reforms. Now, yes, many of the students who have just started the preparation, yes, you need to be aware about these reforms. Yes, 11th standard NCERT, economic development, LPG reforms are discussed in that NCERT. Basics about LPG reforms are given. Let me tell you what were the reforms. Okay, so what happened during 1980s at that time is there was BOP crisis, balance of payment crisis, India's foreign exchange declined to a very low level, and because of that balance of payment was skewed and India was not able to honor the payments for its imports. Okay, so imports were at large increased and exports were not matching the imports. Okay, and because of that balance of payment crisis happened. Now, during this BOP crisis, India had to take help of or loan from IMF, World Bank, right, and mortgage some of the gold that was there available with RBI for such loans. Then IMF and World Bank, these international lending institutions, they put some conditionalities. For example, administrative reforms, financial reforms, as well as opening the Indian economy for world market. Okay, so that's why new economic policy 1991 was announced, and this was, let's say, outcome of duo PV Narasimha Rao and Manmohan Singh at that time. They actually chalked out the detailed plan about this policy. They are also alternatively called as LPG reforms, L for liberalization, P for privatization, and G for globalization. Let me briefly tell you what reforms involved in liberalization, privatization and globalization. Yes. First one, liberalization. Okay, so what happened is, before 1991 announcement of this policy, largely Indian economy was closed economy. It was not open to the foreign investments, and at the same time we have to also understand that Indian economy was largely the command economy. Command economy in a sense, the major sectors, important sectors were solely the main area or monopoly of the government, public sector undertakings, and private sector had a very less role to be played in Indian economy. Okay, so that's why we have to understand that at that time there were many such laws like MRTP Act 1969. So restrictive trade policies, such kind of acts provided for licensing. It was also called as license Raj at that time. Many industries to do business, or let's say establish manufacturing plants, required to take license from the government. There was red tapeism, delay, corruption, or we can say nexus, right? So because of that, private sector was to some extent not able to contribute to the economy, was not able to grow. Now through this liberalization reforms, what happened is there was delicensing, and we can say liberalization of, or we can say opening of various sectors of economy for private sector. Okay. This is how we have to understand the liberalization reforms. Okay. Along with that, the second one is privatization. As the name suggests, here we can understand the privatization here means whatever the monopoly earlier government had in certain sectors, those public sector undertakings, some of them were loss making. Some of them were even closed or redundant also, not working also. So these were either privatized, that means some kind of disinvestment was done, and some of them were completely sold off to the private sector. Privatized, disinvestment. Okay, and some PSUs were also closed down. This is how the privatization happened, right? And third one is globalization. Now globalization means opening of Indian economy to the world market. And here earlier, let me give you some situation here that there were very high tariffs earlier before this policy. Tariffs for, we can say, largely imports, or we can say import duties were very high. It was at the range of 57.5% in 1991. Okay, and these import duties were to be reduced. That means tariff was reduced, and import and export promotion was allowed, foreign investment was slowly allowed. Along with that, the foreign exchange reforms, exchange rate reforms. Okay, so fixed foreign exchange rate, this policy changed to manage float, or we can say floating exchange rate reforms. At the same time, the convertibility on current account and capital account, such reforms were taken. For example, complete convertibility on current account and partial convertibility on capital account was announced here in globalization part of reforms. This is how we have to understand. Okay, in detail you need not to go into detail, just you should be aware about what policy reforms were undertaken under these three headings. Now, the evaluation or so evolution of economy since 1991. Now, what article is discussing here? Okay, here the evolution of economy since, that means 30 years of reforms. Yes, the writer in this article or the interview of the expert here, he is of the view that to some extent it has been successful. It has been successful. We can say that LPG reforms have been successful in its goal. Goal was largely, first thing, increasing economic growth through expansion of private sector, or we can say private sector led economic growth. Private sector led economic growth. Along with that, the second important goal was poverty reduction. As part of welfare state policies, poverty reduction was also goal of this economic policy. To some extent, this both have been successful. We have seen the decadal economic growth of 8 to 9% of GDP growth, or we can say especially during 2000 to 2010, that decade, the range was 8% to 9% GDP growth. So, we can understand economic growth was there. Along with that, huge numbers of, let's say, those living below poverty line were brought above poverty line. That means the trickle down effect of this economic growth was to some extent successful. To some extent successful. However, the situation changed after 2008 global financial crisis. Global financial crisis. Though we can understand India escaped largely the crisis and its impact. However, the growth in the economy subsequently slowed down, and at present, before pandemic, we have seen the kind of situation. The economic growth was declining even before pandemic, and after pandemic already there is economic contraction, and surely along with the world, Indian economy will also, Indian economic growth will also decline. Now, India progressively lowered import tariffs, but this trend has been reversed over the past few years. Yes, the view is asked to this expert. The tariffs, import tariffs, just now I have given the fact that in last 30 years, the import tariffs have gone down from 57% to around 9% at present. Okay. So, before some years we can say this much amount of import tariff have been declined. However, recently there are trends of protectionism, that is going on all over the world, including India. Like for example, in India we are focusing on Make in India, Atmanirbhar Bharat, especially after this pandemic. And therefore, the focus is largely on levying import duties and promoting domestic manufacturing facilities. So, this actually trend is disturbing according to this expert. One should take lessons from the let's say the era of before 1990, how this has resulted into problem of BOP crisis, and one should not revert back to that kind of policies. Higher, let's say, import duties. As we can understand, Indian economy is much integrated with the world economy now in last 30 years. Okay. Now, should we revisit our stance on RCEP? See here, RCEP we have not joined, India did not join. Okay, this is a regional comprehensive economic partnership of ASEAN plus its FTA partners, 5 FTA partners. Earlier there were 6. India was there in negotiations, but India did not join. Other 5 joined. So this is RCEP now. India did not join, but yes, whether we should revisit our stance. Why India did not join this RCEP? Because of lack of competitiveness of certain industries in India towards other such powers like China, economic powers like China. So Indian industries lack competitiveness, and therefore India was, or these sectors were supposed to lose when India was going to join RCEP, and therefore there was lobbying by certain industries like dairy industry, right? So that's why India did not join. Whether India should revisit, yes, the expert is of the view that rather than not joining RCEP, we should focus on the problems faced by industries and increase their competitiveness. Increase their competitiveness at world stage. This is actually the solution. Okay, you should be aware about all these solutions also. You need to mention them in your answers. Then jobless growth during UPA government as well as post UPA. Yes, the view that is written, actually some political view is involved here, but what you need to understand is, yes, during UPA government also there was jobless growth. It came under criticism of this jobless growth at that time. However, during NDA government after 2014 also, a credible employment data is not available. Data not available, and whatever the data that is available, unemployment rate is very high, open unemployment is very high. That means whatever the labor that is going aside, or we can say coming out of agriculture sector, that is not being consumed in non-agriculture sectors, that is manufacturing or service sector. Especially the formalization of economy, formalization of employment is not happening to that rate that is required. So because of that, this is the problem. However, we have to understand as a way forward what should be the priorities now. First of all, for the priorities, or we can say to bring back the economy at the earlier stage before pandemic, what we need to focus at present is vaccination for all, including all above 18 years of age. First priority of the government, so that the economy already which is recovering, but it can recover at faster rate. Second thing is that priority increasing economic growth will automatically result into increase in employment. However, this employment should be formal sector. That means focus should be on skill development. Now, sufficient investment in social sectors is also required. That has been long pending reform. During these 30 years, the long pending reforms in social sector, investment in health and education sector. Health and education sector is very important. This has been ignored from time to time by successive government. That's why now the priority, because of pandemic, and we have seen how it has also affected the schooling, colleges. So education, all these investment in these two important sector should be the priority of the government now. So this is how the way forward should be also mentioned. Now, what kind of question we can expect? Examine the success of LPG economic reforms initiated in 1991. Straightforward question can be asked in examine. First of all, success, then limitations and way forward should be written in structure. As a topic, we are expecting 30 years of LPG reforms, directly straightforward or indirectly on LPG reforms can be asked. You should be aware about that total at present 30 years have been completed for such reforms. Now, moving on, small doses. Okay, so yes, this particular editorial on page number 6, it is talking about the relief package that was recently announced by Finance Ministry after second wave to increase the demand in the Indian economy. What this ingredients of relief package? First thing, relief package was announced for rupees 6.29 lakh crore rupees. Okay, this included measures largely which are related to credit supply to different sectors, for example micro entrepreneurs, tourist guides and tourist agents. Okay, along with that, credit supply for health sector, especially for pediatric care. Okay, so such sectors are going to benefit from this package, relief package. Now, examine the sufficiency of the package. Yes, when this package is announced here, we have to understand the sufficiency. First thing, positives. Positives is for healthcare sector, tourism sector. Okay, these two are going to benefit surely. However, even the efficacy in the tourism sector or other sectors we have to analyze. That means limitations. What are the limitations? For example, first thing, the credit supply to tourist agents. This will be successful. This is not going to help people take holidays. Okay, this is not incentive for people to go for holidays, right? So, you are not understanding here that government should focus on creating demand here. Demand can be created when the people are having extra money for spending for holidays. Then only tourism sector overall can be increased. Then visa arrivals or visas, free visa for certain tourists and other people. These free visas will be availed by the people when the country gets vaccinated. Otherwise, when there is already threats of, let's say, third wave that may hit India in near future, visa will not be availed by the foreign people to visit India, right? So, this is the limitation. So, focus should have been on vaccination, and then such kind of free visas will be effective. Now, yes, importance of health sector, just now we have understood. This is the only important, let's say, positive part of this relief package. However, what could have been better approach? That means way forward or alternative measures should have been promoting demand in economy by, first thing, income support to vulnerable sections of society, right? This is going to be benefiting those people because they are very much worried about the income loss, livelihood loss. Second aspect is that focus should have been addressing the problem of high fuel prices. High fuel prices. Okay, at present we have seen in many areas of the country the petrol prices have hit above 100 rupees per liter, and this is actually leading to inflation. The problem of inflation. This is, we can say, indirect tax on common people, especially poor people. When let's say such fuel prices will come down, especially when the government reduces taxes on the fuels, automatically these fuel prices will come down. The inflation will also come down. RBI will get some room to make some measures, take some measures for credit supply by changing interest rates, right? So these measures should have been done, and some disposable income would be available with the people for spending purpose. Automatically it would have helped revive the economy here also. Fine. So as a way forward or alternative policy measures that could be taken, you can mention like this. Fine. Okay. Then moving on to next, cabinet clears viability gap funds for BharatNet. Okay, so BharatNet scheme is for providing broadband connectivity at rural areas at Gram Panchayat level, village level, to have or avail e-services that are provided by the government. Okay, earlier there was National Optical Fiber Network that was revised, modified into BharatNet scheme. We will understand that scheme also, but what measures have been taken by the government. Union Cabinet approved viability gap funding support of rupees around 19,000 crore for implementation of BharatNet project through PPP, public private partnership model, in 16 states. Now this is going to be the next phase of BharatNet project. The project is extended to all inhabited villages beyond Gram Panchayats in 16 states. The revised strategy will include creation, upgrading, operation, maintenance and utilization of BharatNet by concessionaire or private sector partner who will be selected by competitive international bidding process. Now, private sector partner is expected to bring an equity investment and raise resources towards capital expenditure and for operation and maintenance of network. That means the revenue model is also included in BharatNet. Whatever the infrastructure that is created already through BharatNet project, that is going to be augmented and create resources, further resources. Therefore, the significance is that it will enable better access to the e-services offered by the various government, enable online education, telemedicine, skill development, e-commerce and other applications of broadband. It would also help bridge digital divide. This should be mentioned here whenever we are talking about digital divide in any part of our syllabus, be it GS2 paper, governance part, education purpose, economy GS3 part or essay paper. Okay, so BharatNet is very important scheme, especially for infrastructure here. Now, basics about this BharatNet project. It is broadband connectivity project. Earlier there was National Optical Fiber Network program started by UPA government in 2011. Now this was modified by NDA government, and some changes, like earlier NOFN, this was not revenue model. Okay, so now BharatNet project also includes the revenue model. This is being implemented by Bharat Broadband Network Limited, BBNL, a special purpose vehicle under Telecom Ministry. The target is 2.5 lakh Gram Panchayats to be covered. Along with that, the entire project is funded by Universal Service Obligation Fund. This is created for improving telecom services in rural and remote areas of the country. You should be aware about these agencies, this fund, Universal Service Obligation Fund. Okay, so optical fiber, broadband connectivity in rural areas, hinterlands, and the people are going to avail the e-services, e-commerce, skill development, online education, all these facilities. Fine? Okay. Now, current account deficit widens as import revive. This is given by RBI. When the imports have increased and exports have not increased in line with that, there is deficit created. That deficit is generally called as current account deficit. But before understanding that, let me give you explanation about basic concept. Balance of payment has three accounts. This balance of payment is largely related to Indian economy interacting with world economy, and then there is some kind of payments to be done whenever there is imports and exports are being done from within, inside the country and outside the country. That creates the balance of payment account. There are three accounts: current account, capital account and financial account. Let us know the basics about these accounts. Current account includes or records exports, imports in goods and services, as well as transfer payments. Now, transfer payments, that means suppose any relative of any person is living in US and that person is sending some remittances or money to the relative in India, that is called as transfer payments, or we can say the interest that is paid on some loans, that is also transfer payments. Now, this is included in current account records. Okay. Now, you have seen here the imports increased but exports not have increased, the deficit is created, and that is called as current account deficit. Okay. First thing. Second, capital account records all international purchases and sales of assets such as money, stocks, bonds. Okay. When we talk about assets, it is capital. Okay, it is long term investment or something that is, let us say, we can look into the physical aspects, right. So, long term aspects, then these are called as assets, and then these international purchases and sales, these are included in capital account. Then financial account deals with investment in real estate, business ventures, foreign direct investment, like there can be joint ventures, mergers and acquisitions of subsidiaries, or we can say some of the companies by foreign in India by foreign companies. Such kind of, let us say, measures, these records are there in financial account. Okay, so current account deficit, capital account deficit is measured in this manner, and together they will be called as balance of payment. Okay, so when we earlier talked about BOP crisis that happened in 1980s, that decade before 1991, that happened because of huge deficit of current account. That is, current account deficit was very high at that time. Okay, and because of that we were not able to, we were not having sufficient foreign exchange reserve for payment of that, let us say, reduce that deficit. That happened at that time. Okay, so these basics are very important for prelims examination. There can be basic question from economy part. Now, COVID-19 related development, Supreme Court left it to the wisdom of NDMA, National Disaster Management Authority, to fix amount of excuse me, ex gratia amount to the families of those who lost their loved ones to COVID-19. Earlier, actually government argued that it is not one time disaster like floods or earthquake or tsunami. Rather, it is continuous disaster COVID-19, and therefore we need to take broader approach while granting such ex gratia. However, Supreme Court is not happy with such argument of the government and now asks the NDMA to decide on the rules on ex gratia to be given to the families of those people died in because of COVID-19. Along with that, Supreme Court directed that death certificates of COVID-19 victims should be showing exact cause of death. Okay, exact cause of death should be mentioned now. This is very important because many such, let us say, other important we can say financial instruments or the government support to those family members is supposed to be given on the basis of this death certificate. This is very important. Fine. Let us try to solve this MCQ now. Yes, okay. Just now we understood the three accounts of balance of payment, and here the question talks about the parts of current account of balance of payment. Which of the following are parts of current accounts? Yes, just now we talked about trade in goods, trade in services. Along with that, transfer payments also. That means 2, 3, 4 is there. International transactions of assets. Assets, that is capital. Whenever we talk about assets, it is about capital. Okay, so capital account, that is including capital account. So answer should be 2, 3 and 4. That's why answer should be option B here. Fine. Okay, so yes, these were important articles from today's The Hindu newspaper. Try to take input for both prelims as well as mains examination, make small notes and try to revise them again and again. For further information regarding Foundation Batch 2022 that is going to start soon at Lukman IAS, those students who have just completed their graduation and now exploring the career opportunities in civil services, this particular course is very apt for those students. The faculty team that is led by Ansari sir provides a thorough preparation guidance to these students for examination in each steps, prelims, mains as well as interview. To know more about the foundation batch, you can contact Lukman IAS. Thank you.
Contact us to avail the combo offer of General Studies and Public Administration optional with 20% discount.